Hey guys, good evening. It's me, Kayla with the Curls, and you're watching The Wind Down. Today is Thursday, October the 14th. If you happen to hop on while we're live, just hop on and say, hey, it's me, so I'll know that you're here. And if you are watching the replay, I want you to hashtag replay just so I can get a little idea of when you guys are hopping on. Tonight, I didn't really publicize this live very much because I struggled with whether or not to go live about it, but I decided that someone needed to hear more about this information that I have to offer. As usual, my dog Nova is jumping up and down. Hey Katrina, how are you? It's good to see you, girl. And she's doing her thing that she does every Thursday. But tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about the other October Awareness Month that it is. So every single year in October, the world gets painted pink and we start celebrating recoveries, and we talk about breast cancer awareness and research and making sure people get their mammograms. But another awareness month is going on, and that's domestic violence awareness. Domestic Assault Awareness Month is also in October, and the color for that is purple, and so that's why I'm wearing purple lipstick today. It's so prevalent, and with COVID and being on lockdown and shelters closing and people being way afraid to take in people or to spread the virus, the numbers for domestic abuse are skyrocketing. Like, it's getting really bad, as well as child abuse. And so before we even get started, I want you guys to take into consideration some things. I'll pick up my puppy. Take into some consideration some things. So 1 in 4 women, 1 in 9 men, and 1 in 10 high school students before they're seniors report that they have been victims of domestic abuse. Domestic abuse does not have to be just physical abuse. Like, it's more than being hit or shoved or pinched or something like that. Domestic abuse can be a myriad of things. It can be emotional, mental abuse, financial or economic coercion. It can be technological or digital abuse, stalking, and sexual. Just because you're in a relationship with someone does not mean that you're required to have sex with that person. And so that could even get down to, like, when they're begging or you feel obligated to fulfill someone's sexual needs, or when you're forced to do something that you do not enjoy or something that makes you feel humiliated. That's sexual abuse, and that is domestic abuse. And so I just think that it's one of those things where people don't talk about it. I definitely didn't talk about it. You don't talk about it because you're like, oh, I'm so ashamed. Because when you find out that someone's been beat up or been hurt or been being domestically abused, the first thing that we as women, I know, because I've said it before, is like, oh girl, I could never, or that could never be me. And so you automatically get shamed. It's like, oh, this is my fault. I keep going back. I keep allowing this to happen to myself. And so the victim starts to victim blame. But the reality of it is that it's not the victim's fault at all whatsoever. So if you're in this situation, I do have resources for you. I have a phone number. I have a text number. I also have a link to a safety plan, things that I'm not going to share publicly, because I'm well aware that great, wonderful people, or so we think they are, watching my lives, and I don't want to put you in further danger by publicizing that information. But if you need it, if you can just say, hey, Kayla, it's for me, or if it's for a friend, I need that information. I'll give you the safety plan. I will put all the numbers and stuff down in the bottom of my live. So what is domestic abuse? It is a way of power and control. Hey, Miss Shoma, how are you? That people use to frighten, to manipulate, to injure, to blame, and unfortunately, sometimes even end up killing their domestic partner or their former partner, right? And so, as you said, or as I said, it's not always physical. And so sometimes, in fact, most of the time, when people are being abused, it happens gradually. It doesn't happen like overnight. In fact, most of the time when people are super abusive, when you meet them or when you meet her, it's Prince Charming. Like, this is the girl of your dreams. Like, you would never imagine that they could do something horrible. This is the perfect partner for you. They are all the things you want. They're attentive. They give you all their attention. They want to spend all their time with you. They're constantly texting you. You're sharing passwords. You're sharing all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden, you cannot even go to the bathroom without this person, like, stalking you down. And so things that you can start to look for, or ways that you might recognize that you are being abused is when you start to feel kind of sad all the time, or you're feeling anxious, or like you're walking on eggshells because you don't want to disappoint this person. For women of color especially, I saw a quote about this and I can't remember. Like, we don't recognize that we're depressed or we're anxious. We just feel like we're failing, right? We feel like we're constantly treading water, and so we're always tired. And so it's like, I'm supposed to be, I said this last week actually, I'm a strong Black woman. I should be able to work all day, take care of my kids, make my money, do this, do that. And it's like, no, you're probably depressed and anxious because someone is constantly belittling you or berating you. So things that you can look for, in the people that you love, is if someone is constantly telling them that they never do stuff right, showing extreme jealousy when you start to like go and spend time with your friends, or you spend time with your family or get away from them. So when I was in the relationship that I was in, I live in Franklin County, and y'all know me, like me and my family, we are like peas in a pod. So we are super enmeshed together all the time. It started to be an issue that I wanted to go home, or that I was home so often. And so like slowly but surely I was home less and less and less and less. I mean, obviously y'all see me a lot now, so y'all know that's not the case with me now. But that there was a period where going home was an issue. It's like, who are you going to see? Why do you want to go so often? Why can't you be with me? That's an issue. Things like preventing you from making your own decisions, or making you feel like you're not capable of making your own decisions, that is abuse. Controlling your income, like when you get your check and they take all your money, or they say, hey, I need money for this, or I need money for that, or they allow you to have some type of allowance, or they don't want you to work at all, because that way you have no means of survival. You have no means of making it outside of this person. And so therefore you are kind of forced to do whatever they want you to do whenever they want you to do it, because you have no other way of making ends meet. And so that's one of the things that will get said to you. Well, you better do it, or who's going to take care of you? You're going to have to get out of the house. If a person uses your child, I'm going to take the kid away from you. I'm going to call DCS. I'm going to say that you're not a good mom. I'm going to say that you can't handle the kid. You can't buy him food, and you don't work anywhere. That is a form of abuse. Being pressured, as I said before, to have sex or perform sexual acts that you're not comfortable with, that is a form of abuse. Being intimidated, like when we call it bucking up. I don't know what y'all call it there, but like if somebody bucks up at you, or they look at you kind of like, I'm gonna get you, you get that feeling of fear because of the way that they looked at you. That is a form of domestic abuse. If they're intimidating you, like they're gonna smack you, if they got weapons, if like a knife, or they flashing their gun at you. It could be anything. It could be a household item. This daggum can is a household item. If they act like they're gonna throw it at you, that is intimidating. That's abuse. Destroying your property, punching holes in the walls. And baby, I've been there, where there's holes, there's pictures hanging everywhere to hide the holes in the walls. And like, it doesn't change the fact that the terror still lives there. But that's abuse. Like, they don't have to hit you. So it's smashing your cell phone, it's knocking over your computer, breaking your laptop, kicking the windows, jumping on your car, trying to stomp out the windshield. Like, all of those things, that is a form of abuse. And so I need you to just think, like, for a moment, if you or somebody that you know is experiencing that. There's also, I said technological, I don't know if I mentioned that, digital abuse. So like, we live in a culture now where people get behind the keyboard, and baby, they are bold. And so they will say all kinds of funky stuff to you on the keyboard, right? And so I'm not gonna go really, really deep into that. If you feel like you're being digitally abused, say something to me privately, because again, I do not want to give any leeway to people who are treating people like this, right? But people cannot just call your cell phone unwanted 75, 85, 95 times. They really can't even call it 5, 10, 15, 20, okay? You don't have to answer the phone. You don't have to share passwords with anybody. It's perfectly okay to say, I'm not taking calls right now. And if you feel like I'm going to be hurt or injured because I don't do it, that is abuse. So what do you do? So document. And I want you to document in a safe, secure fashion. You can create an email account, you can screenshot stuff, or you can copy stuff and send it to a trusted person. You can, and I want you to document exactly what happened. I want you to say how you were feeling, where you were standing. If they knock over the couch and they punch a hole in the wall, document that. When you have to get those things fixed through your landlord, I still have all the receipts from like patching the walls and getting this fixed and fixing this window. Document that information and keep it in a secure location. Don't keep it on your person if that's not safe for you. The website that I have is thehotline.org. If you go to the hotline, there's this huge red X up in the top right-hand corner, so that if you were to be seen looking at the website or you needed to close it fast, you can close it. But if you're looking at websites like that and you're in that situation, you need to be clearing your cache pretty regularly, because people will probably look and see what you've been looking at for a way to escape. There are domestic violence shelters in like Columbia, the Hope House, and then in Nashville, we have a domestic violence shelter, and there's some other agencies that will help you if you're in that situation, but you have to be ready to make that change. And I recognize that that's not always easy, right? And also, it's really, really dangerous once you decide to go. And so this is what I always say. If you are in a situation and you're in danger, you are at risk of death. And if you leave, at least you have a better chance at life. And so those are the things that you have to say. People always say, oh, Kayla, I don't want to go to the courthouse. I don't want to make these plans. I don't want to do. So we can plan for your safety, or we can plan for your funeral. And I hate to be so blunt and candid with that, but it is so important to me. And I would rather sit down with you and hear your story and we wade through the embarrassment together than to be reading your obituary. Hey, Brandy, thank you. It's my purple domestic violence Liffy, yes. Seek medical care, okay? Anytime that you are hit, like even if I'm a brown girl, so it was hard for me, right? So, because when you get choked and you're a brown girl, when you get hit when you're a brown girl, you don't bruise really, really easy, right? Like you really have to be snatched the hell up to get bruised. And so one of the things that was helpful was to continue to document. Take pictures, forward it to a friend, or send it to a secure email. Even if there's no mark, you seek medical care. And you seek medical care so that in the event that you have to go to court, or in the event that you are killed, we have documentation and a track record to say, this person was doing this, she was reporting this, she was reporting this. And I know that sometimes victims say, people get sick of me coming back to the hospital when they know that I'm gonna go home. I think that as professionals, we recognize that that is a hard cycle to break. And so still, no matter what you decide to do, I want you to document what is happening. I want you also to detail how you felt before, in the middle, and after each incident. And that doesn't mean you'll ever share it for anybody, but for me, at least, it validated that the experience was real. It validated that my feelings were real. Because what happens is, after abuser beats you up or smashes the walls or tears up everything, then they're all like, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I love you. You know that's not me. I was just drinking. That's not how I normally treat you. I love you. You know I would never hurt you. That's not how you're remembering it wrong. Or if you had not said what you said, I would not have smashed the lamp. BS. Like, you are not responsible for someone else's behavior. No matter what you do, you're only in control of you. And so reading back over what happened and how I felt when it happened made it real. It's like, no, I'm not misremembering the facts. This is exactly what happened. This is how I felt, right? By the way, I'm wearing Pomifera and Moroccan amber lotion, and she's eating it. That's what she's doing. So be sure to document those things, if nothing else, but for validation. And file a police report only if you feel like that is something that is safe for you. I'm always going to tell you to file it, but I want you to figure out how to file it in a safe manner. Because as I said, once a domestic violence victim leaves, they're at great risk. And so you have to have a safety plan. Again, I am not going to drop the link for that safety plan out here, because I don't want someone who's doing this to somebody to be like, oh, well, here, let me follow this safety plan, and then I could guess what she put in here or what he put in here. Send it to me privately, and I'll send you the direct link to that. What else was I gonna say? What's in a safety plan? So a safety plan is a plan to keep you safe, ideally, and it only works if you give accurate and truthful information. So you can't go on this safety plan and be like, I'm gonna call my cousin Paula in California. I can go to Paula's, if you do not have the means to get to Paula. So maybe we need to go to somebody that in Alabama. I could get enough gas in my car to get to Alabama. I could get enough gas in my car to get to Georgia. I could get enough gas in my car to get to Nashville, or I could do wherever, right? But it has to be realistic. And it needs to include some emergency contacts. So when I was in my situation, I made a complete binder, right? The binder had a current copy of what I look like right now, no filters, no makeup, no nothing. So if my body was on the side of the road, somebody would be able to be like, oh my God, that's Kayla with the curls. So a picture of myself, I had a copy of my license, a copy of my birth certificate and my kids' birth certificates. I had a copy of my adoption decree. I had a copy of my divorce decree, all my important documents, right? I kept them all in a binder. So if I had to get up and run and leave in the middle of the night, I had everything there. I also made a copy of that binder and I gave it to my sister. So my sister had a copy of that, all my important stuff. Photos is so important. We live in a filter world, but if something happens, like we say it jokingly, we're like, ooh, we're not gonna be able to identify you. No, really, sis, like if you go missing, I need somebody to be able to find you. So keep those things in mind and keep it in a secure location. And we live in a digital world. There's all kinds of things that are password protected. One of the other things that I did was had a code word. And I have a code phrase with my kids. And I think I found this also on something I was reading on Pinterest when they were really little. And so my code word at that time, and I won't have to use it again, was orchids. And so if I called my sister or if I called two other very special people and I said something, just don't forget to pick up orchids, that meant I was in danger. And so I urge you, if you're in that situation, to come up with a code word that would let somebody else know that you were in danger. I've seen that people will do stuff like they'll call like they're ordering a pizza to like their sister or so-and-so and so-and-so. And then I saw that you weren't necessarily supposed to do that because domestic violence people or manipulators are catching on to that. So if you don't think that your manipulator knows that, then you could try that. But come up with something where you randomly call your emergency person. They would know that conversation meant, hey, I'm in danger now. Please send the police. There are so many things that I want to share with you. But again, you have to be careful when you talk about subjects like this because you don't want to give out too much information and then the wrong person get a hold of it and they use it to harm someone. What I do want you to know is that you have the ability to start over. It's never too late for you to find somebody to love you the right way, and that genuine, true love never, ever, 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 ever hurts. Someone who loves you is not going to hit you. Someone who loves you is not going to threaten you. They're not going to smash your things. They're not going to mistreat you. They're not going to make you feel like you are less than. That's not love. And so all the things that you're told, no one's ever going to take care of you, no one's going to do this, no one's going to do that, you're not smart enough, you're not fast enough, you're not bright enough, none of those things are true. You are absolutely so very loved. Danielle Jackson's, you're staring at the cute lippy. It's my domestic violence lippy. Thank you so much. You are so loved and you are so worthy and you're enough right now. So not when you learn to cook the perfect dinner, not when you learn to get all your kids in bed before 8:30, not before you make the house spotless, not before you gain or lose weight, not before anything. You are so worthy right now. And I hope that you will have the courage to do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. I'm Kayla and I'm a survivor. I've never shared this story before, but I felt like at this point in my life, it's time for me to start standing up so other people will know they can do it too. I love you guys and I love when you watch The Wind Down. I'll see you next week.